Our panel now, syndicated columnist Charles Krauthammer, former senior advisor and deputy chief of staff to George W. Bush, Karl Rove, and Fox News senior political analyst Brit Hume. Brett, Paul Ryan, your thoughts?
Well, you know, it was thought that the first night of the convention was to be the night where Obama had his skin ripped off and the case against him was made, and that night had been lost. Well, Ryan did that tonight, and the tricky thing he faced was, could he deliver an eloquent speech and a powerful speech in which he came across as a likable and trustworthy young man that the American people can have confidence in, and still deliver a devastating indictment of President Obama's administration. My sense about it, just listening to it and kind of guessing how people out there might react to it, is that he probably did that job pretty well in the eyes of a great many people out across this country. This speech was interesting, it was compelling, it had humor, and the moment when he mentioned his mother and his pride in her and her being his role model, and you got that amazing picture of the little granddaughter snuggling up to her, that was worth a lot too, in terms of the sense that this is a nice young man who delivered nonetheless a lethal shot tonight.
And of a little girl who appeared to be friends with one of Paul Ryan's daughters, who apparently found herself caught in the shot and made a run for it, which was a funny moment. Carl, today the Obama campaign put out an ad in anticipation of Paul Ryan's remarks here, calling him, among other things, out of step, extreme, says he wants to end Medicare as we know it, and then describing him as fiercely and harshly anti-female. Do you think the audience at home walked away with any of those impressions?
No, and look, the Washington Post had an interesting poll today conducted with Pew, in which they asked people to describe their initial impressions of Paul Ryan over the last 2 weeks, and they said the top 9 words used to describe Paul Ryan, 6 of them were favorable, and 3 of them were just sort of factual, and none of them were negative. And I think Britt was right. Tonight, he made a pointed, direct, sober, but respectful critique of Obama, not delivered in anger and malice, but instead with disappointment and regret, and did it expertly. There were 2 other notes he hit that I want to briefly mention. One is conservative populism. This was an attack on big government and upon the cronyism and the corruption of the current administration. And then there was a big note of optimism and energetically delivered. It was also in Condi Rice's speech. Her biggest applause lines were not on foreign affairs. They were on American exceptionalism and the values that undergird that. And I thought it was an interesting comment.
And Charles, before I get to you, I should point out you did not get the memo about the blue checked shirt by your other panelists, but go ahead.
Aren't they adorable?
I thought the speech by Ryan was bold, very strong, and very large, in the sense that he went way beyond just the attacks, which he did extremely effective, like stiletto attacks. Each one a short jab that left a mark. There was no long elaboration, no wind-up. He went point by point. And I agree with Carl, it was sort of more in sorrow than in anger, but it cleverly reminded people. You know that line about the young people with a faded poster of Obama on the wall who don't have a job? It reminded people of the fact that Obama had disappointed them. He had so much promise. And he started with that premise, and in the end, he said, what have they left you with in real life? I thought one of the themes that ran through his speech, Condoleezza Rice and Susana Martinez, was Obama is conducting a war on success. Condi Rice spoke about, we're not jealous of success. Martinez spoke about the success of her parents. They built that. And then Ryan, I thought, was stem-winding and talking about how everything the administration has done has been to denigrate what is so natural to Americans, to appreciate success, to celebrate it, and to say Romney is a success. That's a good thing. I think it's very powerful.
Panel will be